Okay, so today is Let's Talk at the mall, and so we're here at Parkland Mall, and we're going to be hearing and talking with the people in our community, hearing what they like, what they don't like, what improvements they'd like to see in the city, and really that's what it's all about, to get their feedback. Well, I think again, what I hear from people, and also my personal experience, the thing that I like the most about Red Deer is our park and trail systems. So I think we have an incredible trail and pathway system that really connects all the way throughout our community, and to me that's our most valuable asset.
My name is Morris Flewelling. I'm currently the mayor of Red Deer and have been the mayor for the last 8.5 years. The vision for the future of our city, there are two words that come to my mind. One of them is sustainability and the other one is livability. We want to make sure that Red Deer continues to be a city where people want to live, where people can afford to live. So we're looking at financial aspects, social aspects, environmental aspects, clean water, clean air, safe streets. This is the livability part. Now, we also want to make sure that it isn't just livable for the next 3 years. We want to make sure that it's livable for the next 200 years. So we have to talk about sustainability, and there we have to look again at those same pillars. We have to look at economics, we have to look at environment, we have to look at governance. These are the things that really are at the core of our city, and each of the decisions that I make and each are always looked at through those two lenses. Is it sustainable? Will it make us livable? Will it help make us livable? Will it continue to make us livable? So those are the keys I see. Research to buttress or back up the vision that I have in terms of sustainability and livability is all around us. We have cities like Portland, Oregon, who are models. And I happen to have seen Portland 35 years ago, and I go to Portland today, and it's an absolute transformation. You look at other cities, for example, I was shown the capital of Denmark, and how they have changed from being a shuttered city to a city on the streets, where they have opened the whole city, even in the wintertime. And so you've got writers like Richard Florida and people like the group of consultants that we just brought in to help us with our transportation. They're called Gill Consultants, and they happen to come from Denmark. But there are people like Gil Penalosa and so on, who are world authorities on how to make streets livable, how to make streets really work, how to make communities function and tick and really be lively. And so this is all around us, and the internet has allowed us access to tons and tons and tons of research and material. So it's a matter of assimilating that and picking the best of it for our city.
Hi, my name is Craig Curtis, City Manager for the City of Red Deer. I've been City Manager for 5 years, but in a previous life, 10 years before that, I was here as Director of Community Services and as Head of Planning in the region. Richard Florida is one of the influences that has certainly given us some new ideas for this city, and of course for many throughout Canada. And Richard Florida is now living in Canada, and he's an economist, so he brings a completely different vision to the development of cities. But one of the areas in which he's had the most influence is in looking at cities in terms of their attraction as a place, having the creativity and the downtown life, and how in today's economic climate, when businesses are looking at locating, they often look at what the city is like first. And it's not just location, it's also the whole quality of life dynamic, which attracts workers to a particular place. So when you look across North America today, you see those cities that are thriving from an economic development perspective are those that are also the most creative and the most interesting to live in from a quality of life perspective. I certainly think that Red Deer has been evolving and changing from a small city, which obviously had a fairly narrow draw, to a middle-sized city which sits comfortably between Edmonton and Calgary. It's a city that has a much greater array of cultural attractions, recreation pursuits than it did, say, 20, 30 years ago. And so that makes it much more attractive as a location for certain businesses that need creative workers, for certain types of businesses and workers that wouldn't locate in a really small community. And I think we've got a much greater diversity in this city now. A diversity that spans all different races, different types of individual with different talents and skills, and that's of course what economic development needs in a community. As the city evolves and changes, and as it grows, and we've of course been one of the fastest growing communities in Canada, as it grows, I see us having an increased diversity in terms of our population. I see us having increased cultural and recreation activities and quality of life attractions and some of the things that we don't have today. But most importantly, I think from a physical perspective, the city will change. We're changing already from a city that is primarily motor vehicle based with spreading or sprawling suburbs. We're changing to have more concentration of residential in the downtown in our planning and greater concentration of density in some of our neighborhoods. I think that will ramp up significantly and we'll see different forms, different types of housing and more multiple family housing in this community.
One of the things that I wrestled with right at the beginning when I was first elected was how you get your oar in the water. How do you get things done at the city, and how do you move the needle for the community? They ask us a whole variety of things that they'd like to see happen, and yet it's very difficult to get the organization to move. And so I was frustrated the first few months, probably the first half a year. But then as we began to work on the strategic direction, and that became really clear where we should go, and then council put a lot of effort into that, and we began to frame everything in terms of how that strategic direction looks. I realized that would really help us, and it certainly has. The administration has really embraced that and are focusing on what it is that council has said they believe the community has said to them. So that's one way. The other thing that's been really interesting to me, and I may be one of the few, no, I'll take that back. What is really interesting to me is that if you want to move the needle on any particular issue, you just need to keep talking about it. And you need to talk about it in the positive. So when it comes to what's the possibilities of our community and where we can go, it's very important for me to continue to bring topics up, even though I sound sometimes like a broken record. It's what helps actually the dialogue to get started, whether that's around solar energy, whether that's around increasing economic development, whether that's improving tourism, all of those kinds of things I say often, and I think it helps. To me, one of the most exciting things that's happening, and certainly we've watched the city plan since I've been on council. We've done a lot of planning. We've embedded that planning work in our thinking with administration. But what's really going to unfold in the next year to 2 years is really exciting. So last year we started with the Roth Street experiment, and we closed the street for a day to see how people would whether they would embrace the idea of having benches and planters and food and everything out on the street, and that was very well received. So this year it's going to be closed for the entire summer. So we lose 17 parking stalls are gone, and we're replacing those 17 cars with 400 people, room for 400 people, which to me is outstanding. So that's one thing that will happen this summer. At the same time, we'll begin the planning and building of the spray park at the east end of Alexander Way, right beside Rotary Recreation Park and the skating oval. That's extremely exciting. We will then also this summer, we'll be renovating another 3 blocks of Little Gates Avenue, and anybody that's been down to Little Gates has seen what a huge success that has been. We're starting to see people move into that area. There's lots more traffic. It's a lot safer. It's more interesting. So that will be undertaken this year. We will be undertaking the redesign of Taylor Drive this year. So there'll be the plans and how that will all be the detailed designs of how Taylor Drive will be redesigned, and so that we can get pedestrians across on 48th Street over into Riverlands. And that work will be designed this year, but then next year the construction begins. Then also we will be burying the transmission lines over in Riverlands this year, so that's another exciting thing. And there's already been talk about, and I of course keep bringing it up, about how do we get people from Riverlands over to Barr Ponds and what that bridge might look like. So all of those things are very, very positive things that are happening. And that's just a few of the things. The Francophone School is going in, and a number of other community activities are starting to happen. But these are not things that are happening slowly. These are quick changes that will be happening. Our integrated movement and transportation study that's well underway is bringing together some specialists from 880 cities that talk about how do you make communities safe for 8-year-olds and 80-year-olds, whether they're biking or walking. That's beautiful. They're working with Gill Architects from Copenhagen. As you know, Copenhagen has a similar climate to us. They're talking about how do we get bikers and bike lanes installed. That community has planned to have 500,000 bikers commuting to the downtown by the end of this decade, I think. It's like amazing stuff they're doing. It's always interesting for me to think about what might come out when I've asked a question. Well, culture certainly has really changed in Red Deer over the last number of years since we won the Cultural Capitals of Canada Award in 2003. I think it's part of that whole philosophy that when you talk about something, it becomes your reality. And so this community has really embraced the idea of being a cultural capital. And as a result, people that are studying in the arts at Red Deer College have started to stay in Red Deer rather than move away. And that arts program is changing and growing. And there's big plans at the college to continue that work. So you're seeing new community groups start that do theater or do visual arts, and they're building galleries and theater spaces and productions, and all of that kind of stuff wasn't happening 10 years ago. There was really a void, but that is the kind of work that's continuing to happen here and will continue. In terms of other culture, when we were working on the culture vision for Red Deer, the main values that the community holds are around its connection to the green spaces and its leadership capabilities. And those are all related to identity, how we feel connected to each other and how we value our diversity. So it's interesting to see that really growing and improving as well.
So my name is Warren Dosco. I'm the superintendent here at the Red Deer Detachment and the member in charge of the policing for the community of Red Deer. So as the police force for the community, our primary responsibility is the overall safety of the residents within the community, and we provide a variety of services to the community to build that safety for our community. We broke out into 6 kind of core areas, and they are enforcement, education, prevention, protection, investigation, and intelligence. So those are kind of the 6 key core services that your police department provides to your community. And then within each of those kind of key areas, it can be broken down farther. And you know, if you look at the prevention, you know, we have our school resource officers as kind of a key role in you know, how we deliver that primary preventative service to our community. So you know, the investigative model that we deliver is found in our general duty, our general duty members and our general investigation section. So the general duty members are the uniform marked police car out there responding to the calls for service. In the general investigation section is our plainclothes members that are responding to the more serious crimes in our community, you know, the homicides and serious sex assaults and aggravated assaults and robberies. So, but a variety of services that we provide to try to blend that combination of those 6 key services into a kind of a policing model that provides the highest level of service. You know, the enforcement model is found in our traffic services model and trying to prevent injury accidents, and an education component that goes along with that. So it's very much a blend of those 6 services to try to figure out what's the best model to really provide a safe environment for all citizens of the community. One of the key relationships that the police, that's critical for policing in your community is that relationship that exists with the elected officials in the city administration. certainly being in the community only for 4 or 5 months, it gives me an opportunity to look at that through a different lens and come in being a new person and be able to evaluate that, what that relationship looks like. You know, I would describe the relationship with administration as one where we work very closely together to try to address the community's issues, not just the policing issues, but try to be more integrated into the larger social issues and work with the social development agencies and the social development department within the city to provide the appropriate response as opposed to just a policing response. The city has just recently renewed their policing contract for 20 years with the Royal Canadian Mounted Police to be their policing service of jurisdiction for the municipality. Within that agreement provides the mechanism for the police to work with mayor and council to identify priorities within their community and then provide a response to those priorities and set appropriate policing standards. That's going to be a whole new area where we have an opportunity to expand on what existed in the past, and I look forward to working with Mayor and Council over the next 2, 3, 4 years to really build those policing standards and get our priorities in order and provide a police response to the community that isn't just looking at policing but looking at the bigger social issues and help provide not just reduce crime but increase safety within the community.
Thank you very much.
So, you know, our priority concern for when we talk about crime prevention, youth is a critical piece to crime prevention. We know they make up about 20% of our population, but they're 100% of our future. And we see the risk factors. We know that the risk factors in their lives can be significant. But what we also know is there's a few protective factors that when we work with young people and we build these protective factors in young people, it builds resilience to these risk factors in their lives, like drug use and alcohol use and violence. And when we work on the protective factors in a positive strength-based approach, we can have a really significant impact with our young people. And from a long-term prevention strategy, it's critical that we work with our young people and have a long-term impact in preventing crime as opposed to just trying to get a short win. So one of our primary preventative initiatives through the policing is our school resource officers. They're embedded in the school programming to be in the schools to build positive relationships with young people. We know that one of the key protective factors for young people is to have relationships with other adults in our community, and a police officer has an outstanding opportunity to be that key role model, that key mentor with young people. So our school resource officer program has such a large impact. And we encourage not just our school resource officers, but all our police officers to work on building positive relationships with young people wherever and whenever. A large number of our police officers, outside of their regular policing duties, volunteer to be involved in extracurricular activities that involve young people. So whether it be coaching hockey or coaching volleyball or being involved in teaching young people music lessons or whatever that opportunity is, we encourage our police officers to get engaged with young people to build that relationship. So through our role as police officers in the community, we come into contact with a significant segment of our population that's extremely vulnerable. And a large number of individuals that we have contact with struggle from mental health issues. One of our really unique initiatives that we've undertaken is we've teamed up a police officer with a psychiatric nurse through the primary care network as a mental health team that responds to this vulnerable sector when we get calls that they're in need of help. So instead of just having a regular police officer show up and having a traditional response to that individual that's suffering from mental health, we've established this team of a police officer and a primary care nurse to be able to respond and to provide the needed service to that individual, as opposed to a bit of a cookie cutter response to individuals that challenge with mental health. We're seeing significant benefits from that type of a program, because one of the real unique opportunities that we have is we're able to divert a large number of those mental health patients away from the hospital, because that's not what their immediate need is. Their immediate need may be to see their primary caregiver or a family member, or need to get back onto some medication. So that unique response is really providing a higher level of service to those individuals that are struggling with some issues, but the police isn't the right response. They don't need a policing response. They need more of a social response to their challenges, and so that team is providing that response.
Downtowns are a great place to have public spaces, and public spaces are wonderful for communities. They create an environment where people can come together with friends and families, and they become really greeting places. And that's really important because they often happen in a downtown. It's where new visitors or residents to the community often come, is in a downtown. It's also where they start new businesses. So when you look at a downtown, it's really somewhere that you should focus energies because it's where people want to be. A strong downtown is the heart of any city, and I certainly tell people when they're talking about downtowns, often they travel places and they say, oh, I saw this really great city and I did all these wonderful things. I saw art galleries and I saw theater and I saw live music, and I say to them, you can guarantee that you saw all of that in a downtown. So you want to ensure that your city has a really strong downtown, not just because it's the arts and culture hub of a downtown, but it has huge economic benefits. When you have a strong downtown, it has huge tax benefits for your community, and it actually helps the overall tax rate of the community.
Hi, I'm the Heritage Coordinator for the city, and one of the things that we're doing now in the city, we're really trying to reach out to the community about what makes this community special to them. So over the past 2 or 3 years, we've been working with members of the community to develop heritage signs, new heritage signs for buildings that are important, to commemorate individuals that have made contributions to the city. What we're doing now is we've got a community heritage mapping project, and we're going out to people in the town and we're asking them, what places are special to you and your family? So we already know what buildings are special. What we want to know now is, where did people swim before there were swimming pools? Where did people go for picnics with their families? Are there special gathering places in parks that people went to? So we want people to tell us what's special, and then we'll look at how we can preserve it. We'll look at whether we can do some heritage signs for the sites. And this year we're going to take all this information and we're going to do a new series of heritage walking, biking and driving tours, and a tour for children. And we're going to incorporate all these really neat sites in it. So it's just, we're taking heritage to a totally different level here. We're moving away from buildings and we're looking at, why is this community so special to people?
So I'm Andrew Stewart, and I'm just from the IT department. My role is just the website and the city's website, and working on the web map for the public. So with the City of Red Deer's web map site, which is just located at webmap.reddeer.ca, or you can go on to our website, reddeer.ca, and there's a button at the top there that would take you to the web map. Basically, we just have information for Red Deer's properties, the assessed values of your house, or you can look up the assessed value of your neighbor's house and stuff like that. It's good to find directions on there. You can see the list of all the properties. We've added all the new areas of town. So it's got the new Garden Heights, which would be coming out with new lots available for the public. I think in actually a few days, those would be available there. You can look at all the addressing information. There's bylaw information. Property information is really what it's used for most. And just a bunch of other information that is coming out of our GIS, which is our Graphical Information Services Department, that's available on there.
Hi, my name is Jim Jorgensen. I'm the manager for the Electric Light and Power Department for the City of Red Deer. The ELP department is responsible for the distribution system. We make sure that the power that comes into the City of Red Deer is moved around the City of Red Deer and goes for usage at houses, businesses and the like. So we're responsible for the wires, that the system that gets it out to our consumers. Yes, reliability in the City of Red Deer is fantastic. Actually, we track and monitor reliability statistics on an annual basis and compare ourselves to other utilities providers around the world, around North America and the world, pardon me, and we always rank very well. The system is very stable. We do our best. We have a great bunch of people that really put all of their effort into ensuring the lights stay on for as long as possible. A message we'd like to make sure gets out to our residents and our ratepayers is that conservation is important for a few different reasons. Primarily though, if we're all able to reduce the amount of electricity that we use, stress the environment a lot less, because a lot of generation in Alberta comes from coal-fired power generation. So the less that we use, the less demand for that type of power and the less impact on the environment.
My name is Trevor Poth and I'm with the City of Red Deer Park section. We're at Let's Talk in 2012, and what we're doing today is talking with the public a little bit, really looking at what the public comments are and what information we can provide them about the new services that Recreation Parks and Culture offers. So at Let's Talk, we've heard a lot of comments from the public. Generally, people are so happy with the recreation and park services that we're able to provide. We definitely have had a few comments of people who are excited to see increased preservation of our natural areas, and a lot of interest in how we do weed control in the city, how we control mosquito populations, and what's new and exciting in parks. So we've brought some of our new initiatives forward, like disc golf, our fitness parks that PCN supported with the city. And really, we're about getting people out there, getting them active, and getting them to enjoy nature. Within Red Deer, we have a huge economic benefit of having parks and trails. We've got over 4,000 acres of parks and over 100 kilometers of trails through our park system. And what's great about that is that we get major events like the Woody's RV Half Marathon and groups of people that are coming to Red Deer to just enjoy our parks and trails. With the network that we have that run along the river and creek system, we just have a totally different experience than what many other municipalities have, and we're extremely proud to provide that.
Our challenge is balancing individual landowner rights and desires of what they'd like to see happen on their land with those of the city as a whole, looking out for what is best for the city or the community as a whole.
Hi there, so my name is Janet Whitesell and I'm the Waste Management Superintendent with the City of Red Deer. I look after the garbage collection, recycling collection, and landfill operations that the city offers. So some of the stuff that's going on these days, one of the big areas is composting. So getting into organics, full organics composting, food waste, and that sort of stuff. Red Deer's got a really great yard waste program where we can divert, in the neighborhood of 4,200 to 4,300 tons of yard waste every year from our residential waste stream. So we've done really well with that type of composting. But what some of the more innovative municipalities out there are doing is getting into that full-scale composting, and it's great because those organics are really valuable materials, and you can produce compost which is usable and has all sorts of environmental benefits. And Red Deer's current recycling program is actually really successful. We've been operating it for over 20 years now, and annually we divert just over 5,000 tons of material through that program. So Red Deer residents participate in it very highly. We have like 93% participation, which is great. So it's an area where we can get into more programs though as well if we can expand the types of materials that we can accept, which we're always looking into if we can add programs or add materials to the blue box. But one of the other areas that can be a big win is getting involved into commercial recycling. So we offer these programs to residents, but businesses out there don't necessarily have those programs. So if we can get over 5,000 tons just from our residents, the commercial side of things could be another area where we could have some great diversion potential.
Hi, I'm Jeff Stewartson, the Wastewater Superintendent with the City of Red Deer. Today we're down here for the city's presentation of Let's Talk down at Parkland Mall. We have our entire crew here from wastewater collection, source control, and the wastewater treatment plant, all providing information to city residents as they come on down. The messages we want to put out today is about really wanting residents to respect what they put down the drain, to understand that what they put down the drain can affect the collection system, can affect the treatment plant. And on the other side of that is what people put down into the catch basin. So whether they're draining their hot tub or pool, that can have an adverse effect because it enters directly into the Red Deer River untreated. So those are the kinds of things, those are the messages we want to get out to people today, to be conscious about what they're putting down the drain. Probably one of the biggest messages that I'd want to get out to people today about putting things down the drain is to really limit the amount of oil and grease you put down your drain. So that would be from your deep fryer, cooking bacon, those kinds of things. Really get it into the garbage can. it will save yourself on plumbing bills in the future. And the other thing is things like people washing out paintbrushes, the rollers, dumping motor oil down, because it's a quick and easy fix to get rid of it for you, but it does cause issues down the line for other people as well. So we would ask people to respect that and to keep those out of the system.
Hi, I'm Scott Cameron. I'm the manager of the social planning department for the City of Red Deer, and we exist to support the quality of life, developing quality of life for citizens of Red Deer, and helping our community work through some of those challenging spots, whether it be homelessness or we take a look at preventive social services, trying to create those conditions so that our citizens can be successful in their lives here in the community. Today here at the mall, we're actually participating in a game called Jeopardy, which is built on the same premise as the TV game, and gives us an opportunity to have ask questions and engage the public in questions around the work that we do in social planning and the social development of our community.
Hi, my name is Jillian Stanek and I'm lead archivist at the City of Red Deer District Archive. Well, we're here today at Let's Talk, and we're looking to help people connect their present to the past. So what we really want is to collect more of those pieces of Red Deer's history and get people interested and excited about the archives. So the way that we're hoping that this is going to happen is primarily through donations of records. So we're looking for everything from video and audio recordings, photograph albums, documents, anything that's archival, and we've got some guidelines that'll help people think about it, and to try and think about the fact that 1980 was 30 years ago. That's a long time already. So it doesn't have to be 100 years old to come to the archives. It just has to be something that shows your family, your piece of Red Deer's history, and that you're wanting to share with the rest of Red Deer.